Hello everyone and welcome to the LDG Experience podcast. We are on episode 17 today. How are you guys doing, Pete, Tom?
I am grand, yes. We managed to successfully empty the shop. Everything is currently piled up in our house.
Well, it might not be because this episode's not coming out for another 4 weeks.
I like you. It's bold of you to assume that it's going to be tidied in 4 weeks.
In 4 weeks' time, this statement will still be accurate.
Probably the same as my statement is I'm slowly recovering from watching WrestleMania at the time of recording.
Yeah.
This probably still will be by the time this goes live, because this is the problem with getting old. I used to be able to stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning, for several times in a row, and then be like, right, back to work. Now I'm just like,
It's like, oh dear. No.
And unfortunately, being a professional painter is not exactly conducive to when you're really tired. When you're busy, it's one thing working in retail, which sucks, but running around doing things does help. When you're literally sat at a paint bench, quite nice, quietly listening to something nice, and painting is just like. So yeah, it's been a challenge, but we're doing well.
Well, where can people see you paint things?
Yes, you can watch you fall asleep.
Lovely segue there. Yeah,
you fall asleep while painting.
Yeah, you can watch me fall asleep on twitch.tv and hopefully YouTube. I'm still working out the kinks there, but we are live Monday, Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 6 till 10. I'd have to think about it then. This is how bad my brain is. 6 till 10, painting a variety of all sorts of wonderful things. We're moving on to special characters at the moment from 40k. Yeah, we start with Commander Farsight a few weeks back, as of the time you're listening to this.
Which will be even a fewer weeks, more weeks back.
Yeah, so it's in the past. So yes, it's been really cool. Trying to do something different each week now.
Yeah. So you can find us, lazydragongaming.com. You can buy stuff on our website, lazydragongaming.com. It's really easy to find. If you are in Blackpool, we are currently being hosted by a lovely company called Fastpack, who are in Bispam, and they are hosting our Tuesday and Wednesday events, which are Lorcana, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. And if you're in Preston, you can pop along and you play 40k, you can pop along to AJTCG once a month, the third Sunday of every month, to play 40k in our 40k tournament. And we're doing some Yu-Gi-Oh! Winner boxes at different points throughout the week, throughout the month at AJTCG as well. We also stream.
We do.
LD Gaming Live on twitch.tv.
We stream on Mondays and Fridays.
Currently Mondays and Fridays.
I'm live from 3 till 6. You're live from 7 till 10.
Yeah, about 7 till 10ish, depending on how the games are going. So, but yeah, that's about it. You can find us on Facebook and all the social medias for both Onyx Dragon Gaming, which is Pete.
Yep.
And Lazy Dragon Gaming, which is me and Evie. Today, Pete.
Yes.
We have this planned out.
We do. I know, it's scary.
Yeah, it's scary. We are in advance of ourselves.
Indeed.
So today we're going to be talking about your favourite Chaos God.
Yes.
And my least favourite Chaos God.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I think Khorne is boring.
I've always enjoyed a bit of martial prowess.
No. So we're talking about the Chaos God. Khorne.
Warning now, there will be several bad jokes.
Yes.
Using Khorne as a premise.
Yes.
The word Khorne as a premise. I'm going to just put that caveat in there, because I have a few.
Also, just in case, there will be mentions of blood, murder, and all sorts of other things gruesome.
Yes.
It could get a bit gory, but it's not visual, and neither me nor Pete.
I was going to say, if we get to the stage where our descriptions are that visceral and that realistic...
just in case, people might be a bit quick.
No, I'm just saying, I feel like I'd be privileged if I managed to get that well descriptive, but...
that could be good. So we're talking about Khorne, the Chaos God, but I think we should preface this by saying that we might reference the Immaterium. Now, in the episode we recorded last week, so you will have heard it by the time this comes out, you did describe...
And if you haven't, pause this episode immediately, go and listen to that one, and then come back.
Episode 16, Glossary of Terms.
Glossary of Terms. We did mention the Immaterium.
We did.
Quickly, refresh, Pete.
It's a dimension of behind reality, is the best way of putting it. It's kind of not really it's not our world at all. It's a dimension in between other dimensions, which is where the laws of physics and things don't really apply, but what it actually is just a massive sort of sea of churning emotion. So anything living, sentient, that has emotions, their dark reflection ends up in there. Yep. And some of the really strongest emotions coalesce together to form entities.
Yes.
Some small, some big.
Yep. And the four biggest ones, Khorne, Slaanesh, Tzeentch, and Nurgle. Today we are talking about Khorne.
Yeah. The first
Chaos God. Now, each of the Chaos Gods has a sacred number.
Yes.
Khorne's sacred number.
8.
Yes. Correct. Well done.
Thank you.
You're very good.
This is why all my Khorne Berserker units in my Chaos Armies are all 8, multiples of 8.
Yes. Or usually their buffs revolve around 8 inches.
They used to, yeah. Now they're kind of a bit less because it's for game balance. But yeah, it was always cool. That's why. Yeah, it's great because 8's a good solid number. I always felt that Slaanesh people got the short end of the stick because their second number is 6.
Yes.
And it's really hard to be like, I have 6 guys. It doesn't really feel as impactful.
But yeah, so the Khorne is the first of the Chaos Gods.
Yes, because
the first to coalesce.
Yeah, because he was sort of kind of in charge for a long time as well. Because let's be honest, ever since monkeys gained enough sentience to realise that the monkey over there had a slightly bigger pile of whatever it was that they wanted, and then found that one could cave into another monkey's skull with a rock. This is why Khorne, who is the angry god of battle and murder, but no, he's any kind of those sort of dark emotions, rage.
So he's got a portfolio.
I mean, yeah.
So the portfolio, the things that Khorne attracts in the warp, the Immaterium, that sort of fuel him. War, hatred, wrath, rage, murder, blood. However, also strength, courage, and martial honour.
Yes,
so
because
they're
this
not
is
all bad.
This is something I kind of wanted to. Well, no, they are because they're all dark reflections of them. But this is one thing I wanted to bring up at some point during this episode is that one thing more recently, I say more recently, it being like nearly 20 years, but back when I started, Khorne's thing wasn't just like run at enemy, smash enemy. It was always bound up with it's the honourable combat as well. It's like if you challenge a Khorne 8 champion, they will fight you one-on-one rather than being like, no, let's all jump him, lads. They kind of download that a little bit, it feels like. But I always liked that idea that they are partly frothing berserkers, but they're also like they've got the higher ranks of Khorne's chosen and champions. You have to be more honourable than that and more sort of like seeking out actual challenges rather than just being like, you small squishy human peasantry, here have a sharpened stick and come at me.
So I do think that the Khorne in 40k has gone much more towards, for example, Khorne the Betrayer.
Yeah, but even Khorne the Betrayer is still like
sorry.
But I know what you're trying to say. They are more Angron, more like because Angron is just blind rage.
Yeah.
Like that. The whole thing about the butcher's nails, the weird pain engines that were in his head when he was human, have made him literally just he doesn't care. He's barely got any kind of cogent thoughts anymore. It's just forward, kill, spill blood, take skulls. Just Khorne the Betrayer's a little bit more nuanced, I think. He still has the same issue because the butcher's nails have wrecked that entire legion. Yeah. But in 40k they're very much more the just rag come at you.
Yeah, frothing berserkers running at the enemy. Not a lot of
I feel like the nature of Space Marines as a whole though belies there is still that martial skill behind it because it is. They are Space Marines at the core. They're just Space Marines with the rage dial turned up to 11. Yeah. So
with that being said, though, I think in fantasy and especially before it. Sort of the end times, you had more of the martial prowess in Khorne.
Well, the poster boy for Warhammer Fantasy's mortal Khorne 8 followers was Arbol the Undefeated, who rode on a giant flesh hound. Like his whole shtick was he would go and challenge people and would just kill them in single combat. Yeah, that was his whole shtick. Because if he ever failed like a challenge or ran away, he would instantly got turned into a spawn. Yeah, which is hilarious because in all the games I ever saw him play, he was nicknamed Arbol the Always Defeated. Yeah, because he just always seemed to end up as a spawn.
Yeah, because he never.
Just couldn't beat anyone.
Yeah,
he couldn't beat anyone. It was always a joke, running joke. But
I do, like I say, I think in 40k, I think they've turned that dial up further than they did in fantasy.
Yeah. But I think that's more to do with the nature of the World Eaters. Yes, being the poster boys for the Khorne. Because you also look at if you want to go a bit deeper to say the Gaunt's Ghost novels, their primary antagonist, or one of the primary antagonists for the Gaunt's Ghost novels, is the Blood Pact, who are a Khorne 8 worshipping cult of soldiers, but they are highly disciplined. They aren't just a rabble of things. The whole point is the reason why they are like the big enemy kind of in the Sabbath Worlds Crusade is because they are elite troops by standards. Of sort of the corner of the standard chaos rabble. Yeah. So I think it is more to do. I think more I talk about it, the more I think about it. I'm like, actually, it's probably more to do with the World Eaters Legion than it is necessarily the reflection of Khorne.
Yeah, because you don't really get for 40k, especially you don't really get anything that isn't the World Eaters. No. For Khorne, everything seems to be World Eaters based.
Yeah.
The whole track of it. Yes. Or demons.
Yes.
So you get frothing bloodletters and bloodthirsters and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, because again you get even in them you've got because we're going to mention some various characters. Skull Taker.
Yes.
His whole shtick is he's a great bloodthirster who has to slay a sword. now. I like that. They've changed that. They've retconned
Okay.
that. So yeah, no, the sword that the Skulltaker has is now called the Slayer Sword, which is now, for anyone who knows Games Workshop painting competitions, the pinnacle of going to win a Games Workshop painting competition is you win a copy of the Slayer Sword, which was always called. It was always called the Slayer Sword, but now it is officially now his sword as well.
Yes,
and
he is one of Khorne's heralds.
Yes, he is
and weirdly, he has another herald. But do you know what he's called? You'll never get it. No, because it's just Herald of Khorne.
Yeah, well, yeah, because these are units types. Herald, basically they're like...
The Skulltaker is one of them. Yeah.
So we should probably go through the basic demon side. Because we talked about the mortal followers. Here we go. Yeah. So the basic foot troops for Khorne are known as bloodletters.
Yes, they look like your atypical devil. Demon.
Yeah, they're sort of more your devil. They've got red, they've got sort of curved back horns. Yeah. They always in the history of Games Workshop they wield hellblades, which I believe in lore is they're a sword with the soul of another bloodletter bound to it.
Okay.
So that's what makes them hellblades as such.
I see.
So they're not just a sword. There's a sword with another bloodletter bound into it, which is what gives it extra prowess. Yeah. So those are your basic foot troops. The slightly mightier bloodletters might appear. These are your heralds of Khorne.
The other one under lesser are blood crushers.
Well, I was just going to come...
Yeah.
So we've got bloodletters are your basic foot troops. One of the other iconic demons leads me on to blood crushers. The iconic demons are the juggernauts. So these are what look like giant brass and metal clad rhinocerises.
I was trying to think in my head. I was literally going through my head going, what animal does it remind me of? And it's kind of like bull, but not.
No, because it's got the big spiky horn. Yes, they are rhino. If you imagine how horrible a rhino looks, imagine that, but instead of it being made of tons of meat and slab muscle, it's actually mostly made of brass and steel. Yeah. There used to be like a thing where these were made, maybe like in Warhammer Fantasy, there was like an illusion that these were made by the Chaos Dwarves, or like as part of tribute to Khorne or something. But I don't care. They're just awesome.
I do not like that.
I know, but I just like Juggernauts. Juggernauts are cool. So Juggernauts. So there's a unit of cavalry that Khorne followers demons have, which is called the Blood Crushers, which are bloodletters riding the Juggernauts into battle.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, several tons of steel rhino and then a gibbering demon on the back with the sword.
Made of demon.
Yeah, made of also of demon. Yeah, this is quite hard. And then the other major sort of basic demon of Khorne is the Fleshhound, which we mentioned before, which are your classic hellhound. Yeah. They're depicted in Games Workshop as kind of sort of a big dog-like creature, but with a scaly hide, and they have big ruffs. Like if you think Dilophosaurs.
I always thought they had that ruff. Like I was like, why do they have that? Yeah. It makes it look like the thing from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, the Dilophosaur. Yeah,
the Dilophosaur. And I was like, but some of them don't have it.
No, they have some to smaller and lesser extent. Yeah.
And then there is a named one.
There is. I was about to come on to him. Yes. He is a three-headed hound, so basically kind of your Cerberus analogue. Yeah. And his name is Karanak, and he's usually sent out by Khorne to track down individuals. So he's like literally like the hunting hound of Khorne. His rules usually represent like you pick a character on the battlefield, and it's like that guy. He's coming for that guy.
It's usually Psychers, isn't it?
Well, Khorne. Well, the other notable thing that Fleshhounds all have is they all have these big, massive collars, which are known as the brass collars of Khorne, because some of the mortal followers can have them as well. They're like a reward. They're one of the sort of known rewards that Khorne can bestow upon you. These are because obviously Khorne. One thing that Khorne despises is magical combat. Magic. He thinks it's giving the weak power for no reason, and he doesn't like that. So he's very anti-magical. This is why his sort of main antithesis is usually either Slanesh is his most opposite, but also why he has a lot of disdain for Tzinch.
So he would have preferred Tyrion over Teclis.
Yes, well, we'll come to. There is a point there as well. We'll come to that a little bit later on. We talk about more about the fantasy side. Yeah, because in fantasy to give you a big quick heads up, the elves' god of murder is known as Kala Mencha Kane, and there is some debate as to whether or not this is actually a distinct entity or whether it is an aspect of Khorne. In fantasy, because I'm pretty certain, in 40k, the Eldar still have this, their god is still Kala Mencha Kane, but he is most definitely a separate entity to Khorne. But there's a slight nod, maybe a nudge and a wink, that maybe Cain in fantasy is maybe an aspect. Because he's just mostly referred to as Cain in fantasy.
Because that's something worth mentioning, is that you get a lot of followers of the Chaos Gods that don't know them by the name that we know them as.
Yes.
And they're old, like, so on a planet in a backwater thing, and they don't have space travel, they have other stuff. And they will have worshipped for generations and generations.
Let's say it's an agri-world. There might be, like, some kind of representation of the harvest, let's say. Let's call him, like, just call him the harvester.
Yeah.
Right, they might represent, like, every time they have an autumnal festival where they bring in the harvest, there's a bit like of a sort of a Samhain kind of Halloween type festival where, you know, this creature, the harvester, comes and takes the unworthy. Well, that could be Khorne.
Yeah.
Like, the Khorne will still be feeding on that because it's all directly in his sort of, in his wheelhouse, so to speak. So.
Well, they also, it's possible that in that sort of thing, that in that festival, every member of the village will cut their hand and drip blood into a thing.
Yeah, just as a way to sort of, like, keep them at bay or something. Yeah, that might be the tradition.
Or
everyone has to be in after dark. Anyone who's not in after dark might get, you know, like, beaten or something. Yeah, just like, it used to be they were killed, but now it's more of a ceremonial, like,
beat you up. Things like that where throughout the galaxy,
in 40k,
in 40k, like, there will be entire planets who are worshipping Chaos Gods that they don't know about.
Again, not to, like, knock any kind of... I'm not knocking anybody's religious faith here on this podcast, but, like, for example, on Earth, some deities that we have, so, like, Satan, or Kali, or the Morrigan, to bring back to Celtic mythology, one of my personal favourites. Yes. All of these sort of death and battle gods, Ares, Mars, all of these type of people. If this is the 40k universe, these would be belief in those gods would be actually empowering Khorne. Yeah, that's to give people more of a real worldy kind of experience. Again, I'm not trying to impugn and say hi, but it's just these ones I'm kind of using as an example.
That's how the Chaos Gods are so insipid.
And it's why the Emperor tried so desperately just to sort of get rid of religion.
Yes.
Because belief in anything, both be it positive or negative, bends reality. If you think of, like, it's the classic example of, you think of a rubber sheet, and, like, when it comes to gravity, you think of a rubber sheet and you put a ball on it of different weights and it bends and distorts the rubber sheet. Like, that's how gravity works.
Yeah.
Well, also faith is kind of like that, and the scheme of reality. So, you know, people believing in the supernatural really, really powerfully, be it, well, however good, tends to thin the barriers somewhat.
And that was the whole point of the Emperor's Great Crusade.
Yes, because it's the whole thing of, like, belief in one implies belief in the other. So if you believe in heaven, you have to kind of believe in hell, really. Yeah. So,
and in 40k, hell is very,
very real, and we use it to get from A to B most of the time.
And it's also a mode of transportation.
But like the M25.
Well, hey! I'm pretty certain the M25 is worse. Anyway, true, because this is predominantly going to be 40k based, and as we've mentioned previously, the traitor legion that fell to Khorne during the Horus Heresy was, of course, Angron's World Eaters.
Yes.
Angron, who we will discuss at length at some point.
Yeah, because he has kind of one thing I think they did really well with the Heresy series novels was really kind of make Angron a more tragic figure.
Yes, which is good because
if you just see him as a character, he's just a knob.
Yeah,
like there's no way to put it. The thing is, he was always broken, but it's the tragedy of his breaking that makes it, and like his descent, and actually the fact that he becomes a demon prince is actually to save him as well, which is kind of sad.
He's the Butcher's Nails, which
is the weird alien pain engine that we implanted in his brain that made it so that he, in order to feel any kind of pleasure or anything positive, he had to commit murder, like go into battle and fight. And the more you did it, or like any kind of drug or anything like that, the harder it got to get that high back. Yeah. So and he was just.
You have to cause pain in order to feel pleasure.
Yes. But even more so than, say, like Slanesh, it's more even deeper. It's more of it's a literal need to feel anything, really.
Yeah, he doesn't. It's not just a pleasure thing. It's literally
more to feel
anything at all. Yeah. And the only way he can do that is by fighting
and obviously when you're a Primarch and you're that level of prowess, it's even harder to find that level.
Yeah, you're talking about having to go against
entire planets by yourself. Yeah,
just to get any kind of. Oh, I feel a little bit of joy, or even sadness.
Yeah, anything.
Like I feel something.
Yeah, just exactly. To feel anything. Yeah. But those Butcher's Nails were killing him.
Yeah.
They were going to kill him.
Yeah, they were going to
destroy his brain. And therefore it was Lorgar. Of course it was.
Yes.
Lorgar basically said, I know how to save you.
Yeah.
You have to go through this ritual here.
Well, he kind of did it forced him to do it. It
Yeah,
just
yeah.
was like, and they were, because a lot of the words he was like, "What the hell have you done?" And they ended
Yeah.
up chaining up Angron in the basement of the Conqueror, which then slowly, and it ended up slowly mutating the rest of the ship. But yeah,
So he became he wasn't the first.
or Demon Prince.
Yeah.
The first Demon Prince is Doombreed, I believe. Is his
No,
name.
I mean Demon Primarch. Sorry,
Demon
not
Primarch.
Prince.
I think in the timeline, Fulgrim is technically before him, but he is one of the first.
He's one of the first Demon Princes. Demon
Primarchs,
Primarchs,
yeah.
sorry, not Princes. We'll come to Demon Princes in a second. But yeah, so the...
Maybe Magnus, because time
Maybe
not working.
Magnus,
Because obviously
yeah.
Prospero happens before the heresy kicks off.
That's true.
But then at some point in the warp, the things happen. So
Yeah.
time wibbly wobbly.
So all the traitor Primarchs that are alive are now Demon Primarchs.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was just trying to make sure. I was like going through my head. Yeah, all the ones that are still alive are all Demon Primarchs.
Demon
now.
Primarchs. And they are different from Demon Princes.
Yes.
Because a Demon Prince is a mortal follower
Yes.
that wasn't a Primarch, but a mortal follower of a Chaos God, and in this instance,
Yeah.
Khorne.
All can be undivided as well.
Oh, yeah, they can be undivided. Yeah. Sorry, they're followers of Chaos.
Yes.
Who do something
So awesome.
so monumentally cool
Yeah.
that the deity grants them the boon of
They
elevation.
become a demon.
Becoming a demon.
So, and they're called demon princes because they are usually incredibly powerful over the standards of, say, a bloodletter. They tend to be roughly on par with the greater demons, which we haven't covered yet.
Yeah, we're moving up the ladder.
Yeah. So demon princes, they are like your sort of second tier, I would have said. Yeah. The great thing you get immortality. So
Yes,
even if you die, even if you're killed, your full mortal flesh is killed, you are just banished back to the warp.
Yep.
For I want to say it used to be 1,000 days in 1,000 years in a day or 100 years in a day. There is like a specific number.
A period of time, but I think they've done away with that now.
Yeah, they have because they kind of had to because Angron. They had to because unfortunately because of the first battle for Armageddon, which we can talk about because we're talking about Chaos. This is clearly sanctioned.
This is obviously
a sanctioned episode by the Inquisition. The first, because technically the time between the first War of Armageddon and the return of Angron in Warhammer 42nd millennium isn't enough time for a standard banishment.
Yeah, because it was I actually think there's the first War for Armageddon basically was Angron and the World Eaters.
Yes, and a load of Khorne demons.
And a load of demons versus the Imperial Guard. And
Space Wolves.
A little bit later, then the Space Wolves came to help, and then a little bit later on,
an entire company of Grey Knights.
Grey Knights came to help, and the Grey Knights banished Angron back to the warp.
If you want to read about that and the fallout of it, the novel The Emperor's Gift by Aaron Dembski-Bowden is awesome for that. It's a really cool look at. It looks at more the fallout of the war for Armageddon, and the war between the Inquisition and the Space Wolves. Yeah. But you do get to see the battle as well, mostly between the Grey Knights and because the main POV character is a Grey Knight.
Yeah, is he the one that survives? Because pretty much all of them die.
And they call him Bladebreaker. The Space Wolves name him Bladebreaker.
Oh, very nice.
Which is.
But yeah, so they banish Angron back to the warp. And then there's a really cool bit, and I've heard this, and I don't know where I've heard it, but when Angron returns in M42, basically someone's like, one of the Grey Knights that's there was like, well, that's not possible. Like, it's not been enough time.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
That's not allowed.
That's just like, we banished him, and now he's back. And they're like, well, he's definitely back. And he's like, some warp shenanigans are going on here. And if it's like the wibbly-wobbly lines of 40k are warp shenanigans. Like, for example, when Battlefleet Solar arrives at Cadia, they're like, they send for reinforcements at the 13th Black Crusade. Cadia's falling. They're like, we need help. And they're like, well, dispatch Battlefleet Solar because we really need this not to happen.
Yes.
So the biggest battle fleet
since the heresy
basically sets off from Terra to the Eye of Terror through the warp, and Creed, who's obviously the Lord Commander of Cadia, is like, well, we can expect them in about 3 months, so keep fighting, lads.
Yep.
And then about a month later, Battlefleet Solar appears out of the warp, and everyone's like, where did that come from? And they needed, Games Workshop and the author needed Battlefleet Solar to arrive slightly earlier. So they're like, how did you do that? And they're like, well, what we did was we went through a different warp channel. because we were under attack. So we panicked and went through this other warp.
Turns out it's a bit quicker.
And it turned out we found a shortcut by
Because one of the things they do say a lot about the warp is that warp travel is that you can go the same route hundreds of times, and sometimes you can arrive on time, and sometimes you can arrive last week, and sometimes you can arrive in 100 years. Yeah. So there has always been that sort of caveat. But usually why is it done? It's usually the main reason is because look, we need that model to come out now.
Yeah.
But the law reason is usually because warp shenanigans.
Yeah. So it's like the wibbly wobbly.
Because I think Mortarian's the same. The Demon Primarch of the Death Guard. I'm pretty certain because he was banished by what's his name, the Caldor Drago.
Yes.
The former High Master of the Grey Knights. And again, that can't have been more than 1,000 years. That wasn't that long ago. No. Mortarian returns to plague, no pun intended, Gilliman on his Dark Crusade.
Ultramar.
Maybe Demon Primarchs have a thing where they're not quite bound by the.
Yeah, they are slightly different.
Yeah, so maybe that could be the reason. Yeah. Maybe we'll throw that one out for free.
There you go, Games Workshop.
Yeah, there's a reason. Demon Primarchs is fine. We can do that.
Slightly different.
Yeah.
But a traditional demon, you banish them back to the warp, but they don't die, and they can come back. Now, they can come back, or
they can be summoned.
They can be summoned out, and they can be. You can open a portal, and they can come out.
I think the summoning thing is maybe how you get around the 1,000 years in a day. Maybe it's never really made clear. No, but anyway, moving up the hierarchy.
Yeah. So, however, if you are a demon prince,
yes,
and you obviously did something truly awesome, but then you mess up monumentally, and you anger Khorne.
Yes.
This is bad.
No, not a good idea.
Yeah. He can change that demon prince from being a demon prince to being something else.
Yeah.
Pretty much whatever he likes, because they're really powerful, but usually a chaos spawn of some description.
Yes, chaos spawns, they're literally stripped of all sentience, just a massive. Usually your standard chaos spawn is like a massive limbs, pseudopods, eyes, teeth. Yeah, just.
Appendages.
Yeah, just flesh.
Blob
with things sticking out of it.
The thing that I always get I imagine is like. In Ursula's cave, you've got the four unfortunate souls.
Yes.
That'd be quite low. Yeah, that's quite a nice looking spawn, really.
Yeah, that's not bad. So moving up from
Demon Princes to my personal favourite tier,
the greater demons.
The greater demons of Khorne, known as the Bloodthirsters.
Yes.
All the Skull Takers. Which is how the Catachans know them, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
That's what they call them. Yeah. Even though Skull Taker is a specific demon.
You do get a lot of name crosses.
There's a lot, but I love Bloodthirsters are awesome. These are think a classic demon mixed with a Balrog.
Yes,
because this is kind of where they came from.
Yeah.
So the sort of classic variant of Bloodthirster, because we've had new ones since, but the classic variant of the Bloodthirster is kind of cloven-hooved, bipedal, cloven-hooved, sort of either a dog or bat-like face, snarling bat-like face, horns, massive leathery wings. And he's armed with an axe, which the axe is the favoured weapon of Khorne, and that's usually called an axe Khorne, and a whip. That's like your standard.
Whip of agony they called it, or something?
Something like that. It's or whip of Khorne,
just something. Like that.
These are that's your standard, typical manifestation of a Bloodthirster. This is like a lot of them look like this. There are variants in the game now. There's ones with a giant axe of Khorne, which is like a big two-handed executioner axe style one, and then there's another one which has an axe and a weird sort of hammer flail thing. And then we come to one of my favourite characters, who is Skarbrand, who is the named character of the named Bloodthirster character in all formats.
Yeah, is he the first one?
He was sort of like kind of the primary. I don't know if he was the first or he was like one of the high up Bloodthirsters because they were in ranks as well. Yep. And I think it was Tzeentch who convinced him that he was actually more powerful than Khorne himself. So he convinced him to attack Khorne. So Skarbrand was like, I got this, fam. Leaps at Khorne and manages to chip a small part of his armour.
Ooh.
Khorne, being a, easily forgiving sort, was a bit
skull
like...
Throne, blood for the blood god.
I believe what he did was, he was like, you what now? Grabbed Skarbrand, tore his wings to shreds, a la Raziel from... Legacy of Kain, gonna throw that in there because it's my favourite game series, and then pitched him from his fortress where he fell for 8 days and 8 nights before hitting the ground.
Ouch.
Yeah, this somewhat damaged Scarbrand is where they're putting it, and now he doesn't really have any kind of cogent thoughts at all. He is just rage incarnate. This is literally the thing, like when in rule wise, he has an aura of like anybody around him gets extra attacks, and that's both friends and foes.
Yes, he drives everybody in.
He drives everybody into a massive frenzy, and I love it. He's got a really awesome model with two Carnage and Slaughter are the names of his demon axes. I said the model is freaking awesome, and yeah, that's a cool little. And that brings us to where Khorne is located.
Yes, so Khorne lives in the realm of Khorne, the Blood Realm.
Yeah, so they all have all the Chaos Gods have their own realm, and there are certain features. Sort of locations within these realms that are every realm is kind of manifest
up into different bits.
Yes,
and at the centre of Khorne's, of course, is the Skull Throne.
Yes, literally made of the skulls of everyone who has been killed, and because one of the battle chant of most Khorne followers is blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. Yes, this is what a lot of people talk about the martial prowess, which is usually you take the skulls of your enemy and offer them unto Khorne to be added to the Skull Throne. If you've ever seen the awesome trophy for Throne of Skulls, the event that Games Workshop does regularly, it's a trophy I really desperately want to win at some point. It is literally Khorne sat on his Throne of Skulls. It's awesome. It's the one trophy I really, really, really want to win at some point.
They are quite hard to win.
They are, but they're not like... There's a queer side. The reason I love Throne of Skulls the most is a Throne of Skulls event isn't a tournament in the strictest sense. I mean, it is a tournament, but in order to win overall, you have to exemplify all aspects of the hobby. So you have to be good enough to win your games. You have to be good enough to get best game votes. So you have to be a nice enough person that people were like, you know what, that guy was really fun to play. I had a really good time. And you also have to get best army votes from your opponents and people who say, you know what, his army looked really cool. Whether it was in conversions, painting, whatever it might be, you were like, you know what, that army was the best looking one I fought all weekend. And I love that to be a Throne of Skulls champion, you have to exemplify all aspects of the hobby. That's why I love it. So that's why it's my personal goal. But yeah, the Throne of Skulls is located atop something called the Bastion Stair. So
which is about 8 days and 8 nights high.
Yeah.
Roughly. I'm not sure.
It all depends how good you are. Because this is the thing, there are various tiers to the Bastion Stair. If you think a massive ziggurat, that kind of like a la sort of your Aztec type pyramids.
Yes.
That kind of shape-ish. But if you imagine that each step of this pyramid is hundreds, if not thousands of kilometres across. Because, again, space-time, not really one of those things. But yeah, there are literally like bits that are normal steps, which a human could climb up. And then you'll find like a basic landing, which might be just full of bloodletters, all fighting amongst themselves, which you've then got to get through. To then ascend to the next level, and so on and so on.
The prime example of just how the warp works, the Materium functions, is you can have a ziggurat that is, say, 10,000 miles high and 50,000 miles across, and each stair is a kilometre or something like that, and you can fit it in your pocket.
Yes, and you could explore it for thousands of years and come back tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah,
and still not die.
Yeah, it is. This is the thing about the warp. Yeah, you can't put any kind of.
No,
it's the wibbly wobbly timey wimey.
It is. It's a kind of the nearest thing you can think of is like a dream realm.
Yeah.
You think of like dreams and how time always seems to pass weirdly in dreams, and like stuff that makes sense in your head, but when you actually wake up and you kind of look back at it and you go, well, that made no sense. Like that dream logic. That's kind of the warp. As a more kind of practical explanation.
And if you're a Harry Potter fan, you can liken it to the White King's Cross station.
Yes.
That Harry goes to after he's been killed.
Yeah.
It kind of that would have been a lot more interesting if Khorne had appeared there. He'd just been like, "You failed me, Harry Potter! Banish him from here."
Turns into a chaos ball.
Yeah.
Or if you are a fan of The Wheel of Time, then you're thinking Teleran Riad, The Realm of Dreams.
Both me and Peter nodding. Mm-hmm. Nodding and smiling.
Well,
I'm just trying to liken it to different things that I've read over the years.
Well, I've got.
If you're a fan of Michael Moorcock, it's literally the same thing.
It's it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I've got a list here of notable bloodthirsters.
Ooh,
I was going to read them out.
Yes.
However, God, their names are hard work. So
I can tell you who they are. If you
right,
show me their names.
So it's Angarath the Unbound.
Yes, this Angarath the Unbound is the exalted Bloodthirster model that Forge World make, which is a much bigger Bloodthirster. Bloodthirster is sort of on par with a Warhound Titan.
Okay. He was most recently banished in the Siege of Vrax.
Yes.
In M41.
He was, yes.
Next on the list is Scarbrand, who we discussed.
Yeah, my boy.
Right.
Here we go. This is going to be great. I love this.
What is that?
Right. Anarch Adneron.
Yeah, Anarch Adneron. It's a Bloodthirster who was part of the demonic host, comprised all 4 Chaos Gods.
Yeah, because sometimes, this is the thing, sometimes Chaos does band together and is led by, their forces can be led by one or other. A good example of this is in the Heresy, is Cygnus Prime, which was a demon, like the battle where the Blood Angels were trying to be destroyed by the Chaos Gods, and it was a force led by Kyrus, one of the Keeper of Secrets of Slaanesh, and Slaanesh. Obviously once we'll come on to.
We'll come on to it in a minute. Ankar Arak, I think I'm pronounced that right. He was at the Imperial incursion as Taurus in M41.
Yep.
Which he conquered and ruled over 300 Terran years as a demon world before he was drawn back into the Immaterium. Ax Archon, one of 8 who served beneath Galkara the Infernus. Then Balanoth, nothing really happens. Oh, he was banished by the Catachans. There we go. He was one of those.
I'm waiting for that might be the one on Pandorax.
Pythos.
Which is Pandorax. Yeah. The Pandorax system and Pythos is in the planet. Yeah, again, an awesome book. Pandorax features a Catachan regiment led by Colonel Deathstrike, some Crystal Agents, one of the original Grey Knight founders.
Yes.
The Grey Knights themselves, the Dark Angels versus Abaddon Corpulax, the Blighted. I think he's like a Nurgle. He was a former Consecrator, which is Dark Angel's successor, and also Huron Blackheart. It's a fantastic book. It covers space battles, it covers land battles, everything. There's some awesome, that's a brilliant, so many awesome moments. I can't even list them. Including one of my personal favourites where one of the lead battleship of the Imperial fleet gets attacked basically gets crashed into by an asteroid full of demons and Chaos Marines, and he's trying to fight the battle still, and he's been getting, for the last few weeks, months, they've been carrying loads of regiments, and he keeps getting requests from all the commanders, the regimental commanders, to be like, can you put us on the service, we can fight, can you put us down, can you fight? And he's like, sod off, we've got more things to do. Anyway, he gets called up by a Vostroyan First Blood colonel, and he's like, what do you want? And he's like, this is a brilliant thing, he's like, oh, excuse me, old bean, I was just wondering if you wouldn't mind if our regiment took to battle against the marauding horde that appears to be attacking your ship. And he's like, by all means, Colonel, do it. And then, so like this. And then like, a lieutenant turns to him and he's like, aren't they a tank regiment? This shows how big Imperial battleships are. They just mount up and just drive through the ship, murdering demons and Chaos Marines. So anyway, it's a quick aside. Fantastic book. Highly recommend it again. But yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
The next one on the list is Gorelord.
Gorelord.
He is part of a demonic entity, demonic host.
Yes.
Which is an unusual alliance between Slaanesh and Khorne, called the Brazen Host.
Ooh, yes.
Which is unusual.
I know the name, but yeah.
Yeah. Nothing else is particularly said here.
These would be the little box sets you get in the codexes where they're like, and then Steve went to this planet and he murdered a bunch of people and then was sadly banished.
Now, the one that we've all been waiting for,
yes,
me and Pete specifically,
yes,
but Evie might recognise the name, is Karbanda.
Yes.
Now, Karbanda...
I have definitely heard this name before.
In our favourite novel. This is our obligatory Devastation of Baal reference.
This is the Devastation of Baal. However,
the
Devastation of Baal is not Karbanda's first appearance in...
Oh, at least he's not his first... Yeah, he's not his first meeting with the Blood Angels.
The Blood Angels. His, as far as we know, anyway, it might have happened before, but the first referenced one that I ever heard was him fighting one-on-one in the air against Sanguinius.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite sort of
the
Siege of Terror. It's one of my favourite moments. It's one of the ones I like to describe to people as kind of like, they're fighting. It's as everyone's retreating behind the ultimate gate, the final gate of the Imperial Palace. There's a fighting retreat. Sanguinius is kind of herding people in, getting people in, when a mighty Bloodthirster of Khorne just appears and starts attacking him. They fight, they're back and forth. They spiral up into the air, going at each other, and eventually Sanguinius has the upper hand. smacks runs him through, grabs the Bloodthirster in midair, breaks him over his knee, literally like full on backbreaker style. Doesn't go for the pin, but he does drop his lifeless corpse to the floor. Yep. And I always imagine it. The way I imagine it is like he writes to the floor. Because at this point everyone's stopped to witness this massive. Because this is where the feather of Sanguinius comes from.
Yes, this is
where the one that Amit. This is the last unadulterated feather where it falls during this battle, and Amit, the original chapter master of the Flesh Tearers, takes the feather, secretes it, makes the reliquary of Amit. But yeah, everyone stops because this is such a ridiculous battle. Everyone stops, literally watches it, and then as he falls down, then Sanguinius just comes down to the ground, lands, sort of takes one last look, turns as the doors takes that last step through these mighty doors as they slam behind him to then seal him off, then ready to meet the Emperor and Dawn for the final gambit.
Yeah,
that's how I always picture it.
And that is why I love the Horus Heresy right there.
Yeah,
that was. I'm pretty certain it was you that told me this story. I mean, like most of my Horus Heresy before the novels comes from, I'm pretty certain from yourself. And when described like that, which I've had heard a few times, but it's still really good. And this is why
it feels so momentous.
Yeah, it sounds even better when you. One of the things I like to do is use a friend of mine is if you put the piece "Arrival to Earth" from the Transformers soundtrack.
Yes,
I love to describe that story alongside it.
Unfortunately, we can't play.
We can't do that for copyright reasons, but yeah, if you imagine that story being played alongside that, you'll get a sense of
those type of stories was when I've been in the hobby for a little bit. Told to me by yourself and a few other people.
It's the myths and legends style thing.
Then they were like, we're going to do the Horus Heresy novels. Yeah. And honestly, they did not do the Horus Heresy the same justice that you just did.
Thank you. I feel that I kind of agree in reading some of the older, smaller excerpts because when I came to this particular part of the novel, they kind of brushed the Karbanda thing aside real quick.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to have a fight between him and Angron, as the final big fight. It was almost like they'd gone, well, him fighting Karbanda's not really a big enough deal. We kind of need him to beat one of the Demon Primarchs. So they had a fight between him and Angron.
But the whole point, the thing is with...
he's not a big enough heel for our babyface to fight.
Yeah, it almost felt like that, very much.
We're going to brush this fight aside, have it over in 3 minutes, and then
that is
at
literally,
WrestleMania, we're going to have them fight the big bad heel.
Yeah, that is almost literally what happens.
So I was always under the impression, and the thing that I'd heard, and I'm pretty certain by yourself...
By the way, I don't watch wrestling at all.
Yeah, but you've got the old school of wrestling, they're pretty much right there. We've got this guy who'll make us more money, let's do that. Yeah.
So I was always under the impression that Sanguinius had been pretty beat up in the fight with Karbanda.
Yeah.
It was like, Karbanda's not just a greater demon of Khorne. He is one of the greater demons of Khorne. He's epically powerful. Yeah. And after not only fighting him and doing this fighting withdrawal that they had to do through the gate, because this isn't just a few guys that are withdrawing through the gate, or just a few guys and a host of demons coming at them. It is tens of thousands of Space Marines on both sides. Oh, yeah. Which obviously you don't get in modern day 4K because they're all...
This is literally, when they talk about the Ultimate Gate, this is you might have seen some of the depictions of it. It's this ridiculous, massive pair of gates. We're talking Warlord Titans could walk through them quite happily with ease. These things are huge, and there are literally, you can imagine thousands of hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of mortals trying to flood through it, and thousands of Blood Angels and Imperial Fists and White Scars desperately trying to fall back through it, and this is a huge freaking momentous moment.
Yeah. While that's going on, you've got basically one of the most powerful bloodthirsters.
Because like I said in the original story, it literally stops all the combatants. Everybody pretty much just stops to see a literal demon fighting an almost literal angel. The whole thing I loved about that visual was it is a metaphor. It's literal good versus literal evil. Demon fighting angel is so much of a microcosm of the battle going on.
If I'm right, didn't they have that on the thing at Games Workshop? Didn't they have Sanguinius fighting Karbanda
on the
original?
I don't think they did. I think Sanguinius is not on that original board. It's Jagatai Khan, I think.
Was it?
I don't know. I never got to see it up close and personal before it went out of first floor window, but.
It went out of the first floor, wasn't it?
Yeah, when a lot of the original mega displays that were displayed on Games Day, when they rebuilt Warhammer World to what it is now, sadly a lot of the displays went out, just gone. Oh. And trust me, that hurt me in a way that I'm still not quite over.
But I always, because like I said, and then after fighting like the pre-battle, because obviously you've got Sanguinius fights in the thing, and the withdrawal to the last gate, because they've been through a bunch of gates at this point.
Oh yeah, this is like rings on rings. If you think of your classic castle, it's like rings and rings, except these rings are literal almost continent size. Because for those who don't know, the Imperial Palace is located in what is currently the Himalayas, and where the really central part of the palace is under Mount Everest, to give you a sense of scale. So it is buried within the mountains of the Himalayas. Yeah. So they are fighting across an entire mountain, effectively fighting towards Mount Everest across the Hindu Kush, that kind of area there, sort of north of India, Pakistan. All of it. All of it. Yes. And they finally made it to this last ring of defences.
And Sanguinius then has to fight. Then, after doing that, and it wasn't like he was like, ha, run you through and then break your back. It was a hard fight for him.
Yeah, he's as Sanguinius would want to do. He's like, showing a good face, but that's taken a lot out of him.
And then he has to fight Horus. And Horus kills him.
Yes.
And the whole point is that even though Sanguinius is beaten bloody by the battle, by Karbanda, and then fighting Horus, he still manages to land one good
That was always my favourite part of the story. Was Sanguinius. He went to his death, knowing it was going to be his death, but also knowing, I think, in the older stories anyway, that he was going to be the one that would leave the opening. When the story as it was told to me, and the anecdotes I read when I was getting into the Holy First, was that Sanguinius fought Horus first. He died, but he managed to make a chink in the armour of Horus that the Emperor would then use as the final for him to be able to finish off. So if it wasn't for Sanguinius' sacrifice,
the whole point
is that he sacrificed it so the Emperor could defeat Horus.
Because Horus at the point there is powered by all 4 Chaos Gods.
He's just been hooked up to the wall. He's literally
So he's not just powered by Khorne, and Sanguinius has just fought something powered just by Khorne. And beat it, and now he's facing something powered by all 4, and still knowing full well that he's going to.
But I suppose
worth mentioning that Sanguinius was a precog.
Yeah, he would get flash in the future, and he also knew, at this point, he'd known for quite a while that he was going to die facing Horus. Because people kept trying to convince him not to do it. Yeah. And he was like, no, I have to do it. And he knew why. And he was the only one that did know why. And again, it's something I feel like in the novels that don't quite make as clear. And it's kind of, I think it's, don't get me wrong, I love the Horus Heresy as a series of books. It filled in a lot of interesting details and opened up a few more questions and some cool side stories and whatnot. But I almost feel like I kind of wish they hadn't done the Siege of Terror, only because I feel like it lives on better as a legend.
Yeah, I feel like that about the whole Horus Heresy. Like I've read some of the books. I haven't read them all. No. Some of them might be good.
Yeah, some of them are, and some of them are.
I honestly, I read up to Fulgrim, I think it was.
I mean, there are literally 50 books in the main Horus Heresy stories. This is not including short stories and novellas and things like that. There are 50 mainline canonical books in that series.
Yeah, I got to Fulgrim and I was like, I'm done with this shit. Yeah. Like, this is not as good as I have been told it by people who are
It didn't help that they went... they kept changing the speed dial. Yeah. So originally it was meant to be only a few books. So if you read the first 3 books, it rockets through the first few bits of the story. Yeah, and then they were like, oh crap, this is really popular and everyone really wants to see more of it. Let's back it off, slow it down, and kind of go back a bit. Because the next few books after the first 3 almost kind of start points in those other books and kind of fill out what other people were doing. And then, they kind of did that for a while. They slowed right down. And they went off and did a few side stories, and then they went, screw it, we need to finish it, and then just went straight up to 11 again and rushed to Terror. I feel like, that's one of the things, because there's a few really awesome threads that they put out in the Heresy series that they then had to cut off and move.
I think that the key to anything like that, though, is the planning, and it just feels like
planning
the
and execution.
I mean, the problem is, I just don't even play. The thing is, it's a hell of an undertaking. It's not like if it's one thing when it's one guy.
No, exactly.
If it's your Tolkien, your George R. R. Martin, whoever it is, or your Terry Pratchett's, who just know that world, and they know what stories they want to tell, and they're just going to tell it at their own pace. Boom, 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 boom. It's one thing, but as an literary undertaking, like I said, there's 50 novels in a series. Like, I don't know of any other series of books that you could say there are 50 of them in this series.
The longest one I've read is The Wheel of Time, and that's 14 books.
Yeah, exactly. And
I know Pratchett put out shitloads, but they're not in a series like that.
But also, yeah, and they're over like 30 or 40 years. Yeah. This is the thing. It's like, I remember Horus Rising came out when I was at university, so that's like 2004, 2005, I think.
Yeah.
I want to say, don't quote me exactly on that. Time gets way wibbly when I go back that far. It's only just finished last year, so we're talking like 20 years, even then. And yeah, writers came, writers went, and they had a council. They've always had a council of people to determine the story. But like I said, the problem is that other external pressures come in, and I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, look, I know why they did certain things. I don't agree with it, but I understand there's business decisions and other things in the behind the scenes. But it still sucks.
I understand why. I just didn't get on board with any of them. And that's honestly, from being told the Horus Heresy, again, primarily by you, but and other people, filled in, and some YouTube videos and other bits and pieces, and honestly, they're all better.
Yeah.
And how you describe the fight is better than I imagined that they did it in the book, and you've already confirmed that that's true.
Yeah.
And I've known that.
And that's not me trying to be like, I'm better than Dan Abnett or whoever wrote those novels. I'm like not trying to say that at all. And these guys can describe combat way more eloquently than me.
Yeah.
But I think what made the Heresy so iconic beforehand was that it was the legend that you were told. You came across it.
Yes.
In little box outs and little bits thrown away in codexes, and then you'd speak to other hobbyists and you would be told stories and things, and I don't think anyone could ever really point to and say this is exactly where I got it all from.
No.
And I think it lives better as a told,
as a
legend.
fireside legend.
Yeah, it's a fireside legend. It works better. It is your King Arthur's, your Robin Hood's. There are depictions of them which may or may not be good and whatever, but the basic understanding of the lore and the legend is almost better than some in-depth retellings.
Yeah, so I think when you get a novel about it, you have to fill out the pages of that novel.
Yeah.
So when I read Fulgrim, which is the one that put me off, in one novel, Fulgrim goes from being a bit of a Berg, because Fulgrim is a bit of a Berg, to fall into chaos.
Yeah.
In one novel. And in the pages of that novel, he went from being the pinnacle of the Emperor's perfection to hearing voices and not thinking that something might be slightly odd about the fact that out of nowhere, he started hearing voices. But this must be fine, because it's just his inner perfection talking to him.
Yeah.
Suddenly, and out of nowhere.
Yeah, they feel like they go off the deep end like a diving board.
Yeah.
Whereas, conversely, I think The Buried Dagger, which is actually the last book in the Heresy series, does a much better job of showing the final fall of Mortarion. Because he's had a lot more time.
Yes.
We've seen him be like, because at first he's like really like, I'm anti-chaos. I really don't want to say
he's very anti-chaos.
He's very anti-chaos. He's like, I don't agree with magic or anything like that, because he's obviously the big driving force behind the Council of Nicaea. Yes. He's like, no, I don't want any of these things. And then you see him as we go through the Heresy being like, well, I kind of need to do this.
Yeah.
Like when Grogor turns back up as like this kind of demon prince of the Life Eater virus, he's like, hey Grogor, I know you're a bit weird, but like I'm kind of glad to have you back. And then you see like Typhus slowly nudging him and poking him down this road, and then the Buried Dagger is the point where great thing is it flashes back to Barbarous and the story of him and Typhus on Barbarous fighting his adopted father and stuff, to them currently travelling to Terra and having to be like, well, we kind of have to dedicate ourselves to Nurgle in order to get there. And I think that does a much better job because it's had the backstory layered in slowly. But I think that's my biggest issue with the Heresy as a whole is it never really knew what it was doing speed-wise.
Yeah.
Some stuff was like plotted out over like 20 or 30 books, and some stuff like was plotted out and then immediately cut off as they decided to change direction.
They also retconned a bunch of shit that I didn't agree with as well. But anyway,
we've gone from massive
tangent about Horus Heresy.
But Carbander, awesome guy.
Carbander, awesome guy, obviously manifests again and is banished back to the warp by Centaur Jewel of the Knights of Blood. On
the Moon of Baal Secundus. I want to say Baal Secundus.
Baal Secundus, giving time for Gabriel Seth to extricate himself
ready for the final battle. Yes, because the other thing we didn't come back is one thing they did try and make more of a thing in the Heresy novels with the fight is that Carbander isn't the bane of Sanguinius; he's the bane of the Ninth. Specifically the Legion.
And every subsidiary chapter.
Yeah, so he is part of the reason why the Black Rage exists.
Yes.
and the Red Thirst. Like, he's responsible for amplifying it, because on the planet Cygnus, he beats down Sanguinius, and it's him nearly dying fighting Karbanda for the first time that unleashes the Thirst, I think it is, and a kind of bit of the Black Rage, where, the entire Legion just goes mental. Because that's how the Space Wolves that are with them at the time die, is they get killed by Blood Angels. I would say one of the things I did like in the last book of the Heresy series was, in the Siege of Terror, was depicting what happens after Sanguinius is killed. They did a very good job of showing like just how these amazing heroes, like these proper, Ascalon, these real pinnacles of what it is to be a Space Marine and be a legendary hero, and watching them go absolutely feral.
Yes.
And like to the point where they're like, yay, the Blood Angel coming to save us. Oh shit. Yeah, did a very good job of that. But that's there are awesome moments in that series.
There are.
But that's Karbanda. Going back to what we're supposed to be talking about, that's Karbanda.
So I read through the last of the Greater Demons. Most of them have names that are about 5 pages long, and I can't pronounce them, and nothing really.
That's why you can't banish them, Tom. Because you can't pronounce their true names.
So very, very quickly, actually, we'll just flip back to Angron very quickly, and the first battle of Armageddon. Yeah. The first war for Armageddon, where he was there. Do you remember how the Grey Knights actually managed to banish him back?
I believe they use his true name.
The name that the Emperor had set aside for him, had he not gone away and been given another name. Yeah. So that means that all the Primarchs have another name. Yes. All of them. Because they all got distributed throughout the
I would like to think that they're kind of hinted at by the Emperor when he gives the Sagittari ring to Horus in the first novel. Horus talks about how he has a ring that has the Sagittar, the constellation Sagittarius.
Oh, I see.
He gets given the Sagittar, and he says how the Emperor gave it to him and how it represents whatever it represents. I'm not a thing. And I believe, if I remember rightly, there is one form of the Zodiac that has 20 symbols. Ooh. Or 18. I can't remember how many it has. But there is one form of the Zodiac that has enough symbols for everyone. Okay. And I kind of maybe, again, this is a complete fan theory. The Games Workshop probably don't even know this.
No, they don't know.
But maybe this is part of it. Maybe the Sagittari was his original, or something related to Sagittarius, was that he was going to give Horus.
Interesting headcanon. I like that.
Yeah, so that maybe that's where it comes down. But I like the idea that, again, this comes back to my favourite thing about the Emperor. Like, I still think the Emperor, because there's a lot of times, especially recently, where they've tried to make the Emperor seem less of, doesn't give a shit, and that everybody's just a tool and a weapon to be used in his grand schemes. But I've always liked the Emperor when he is at his most human.
Yeah, I think that's the most...
and it also helps him make the most sense as a character. Because he's nearly omniscient. Whether he's a god or not is what he is now, but whether he was a god or not is irrelevant, because I think the reason why he makes mistakes is that he's human. Yeah. And that there are times where he is blinded by his love for either humanity or his sons.
I 100% agree, and I do think that it makes sense, because there's a lot of... If he knew everything, and he viewed them all as nothing but tools and weapons, and just a thing to achieve a thing, he was awful at it. Yeah. Because he was a precog. Yeah. So he could see what was coming.
Yeah, in some respects he can. And some, I think it was always about where he was blinded in certain areas. But
at what point? Yeah. Are you so... Because, you've got to look at it in the scale of power, right? So you've got the Chaos Gods who sit pretty much above everything. Yeah. As far as... Because that is what we're talking about. Yeah. Mostly. So you've got the Chaos Gods... And then, pretty much under that, you've got the Emperor.
I would say he's almost to one side, that's the whole point. Because they call the Chaos Gods themselves call him the Anathema. Yeah, he's the weapon against them.
So if you view it like that, as that is the case,
he has that level of power.
That level of power, which is phenomenal cosmic power. Yeah. You need teeny bitty living space, nevertheless. But he has that level of power, and yet the Horus heresy still happens.
Because that's the thing, in some of the original tellings of it, this was the whole point. This is the whole reason why Magnus gets censured in the original stories. He's like, Dad, Horus has turned on you, and he's just gone, and obviously he just goes, no, because you've just used the banned sorcery to come and tell me this, so clearly you're the one, you're lying to me, because Horus would never, he's my most beloved son, he would never turn against me. And again, the final moment against Horus, in some of the steps of the retellings is Horus comes back to himself and he's like, Dad, I'm sorry. What have I done? And the Emperor's like, because that's the whole point. Is that the battle he fights against Horus is he does it with one hand tied behind his back because he can't bring himself to kill him. And it's like, I find that much more of a engrossing story when the emperor is human and does care.
Yes.
Because we all let's be honest, how many times have everyone made stupid mistakes because somebody you love or whatever care for you don't want to believe that about them, or you
see it every day,
or you make a stupid decision because you want to save somebody you love from more embarrassment or whatever.
You try to do something that is in the best interest.
It's the whole classic road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah, exactly.
You're doing something for what you think is the best intentions of somebody, and you end up doing something wrong. I think, the Emperor is at his best when he's shown. Like I said, the best moments in the Horus Heresy novel series for me are the ones where the Emperor comes just as a father to his sons. Yeah. They are almost cripplingly, for me, emotional moments.
Yeah. And it makes sense as well because it's almost impossible to write him the other way.
Yeah.
You're not going to get any interesting story arc out of an emperor who views every single thing around him as a tool, as a means to an end.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're kind of trying to do.
He's the villain.
Yeah.
At that point,
and I think he's
not the good guy.
I think the thing is, they're trying to portray that as as in there is no good guys in 40k, and I'm like, yeah, but as I said, this is candles flickering in the dark, and at one point he was a lantern in the dark, and unfortunately through various machinations I think the tragedy of the conversation that Gilliman has with the Emperor.
Yeah, I was going to bring this up. Actually.
Can be reviewed in two ways. I think a lot of people try to view it as the things I heard him say. You're this. You're my final tool, my final thing. And he's like, and they try to make it out that was the Emperor all behind. All the lies have been stripped away, and actually that's all he thinks of us.
No.
And I'm like, no, it's not that. It's that unfortunately through his sacrifice, his humanity has been burnt out almost to a point where that flame has gone out. But it's still there. But he can't. He wants to say, "You are my son. You are my thing," but he can only express it as, "You are number 13. You are my final tool." It's not. He wants to say, "You are my final hope."
Yes.
For my dream, but because all that humanity's been burnt away by thousands of years sat on that throne.
10,000 years.
Yes, will give you such a crick in the neck.
Indeed.
And I feel like that's how I interpret it.
He no longer has those human words, like we were discussing.
And it's all psychic. This all psychic productions, and it's like that humanity is almost completely gone, but there's little flickers. I like to think that the flickers where Gilliman hears, "My son, you are here," my final hope. And then it flickers between that and final tool is here kind of thing. It's the flicker of what used to be the soul of the Emperor is underneath, not that it's the mask finally slipping.
Yeah,
I think that's much better.
I think
we discussed in episode 10 as well that we think that you've got Emperor as the entity in the warp. The Emperor
his humanity is now a separate thing.
And there's one tiny sliver.
Yeah, of light, and I think
joining the two,
that's my headcanon.
And they're trying to get back together.
Yeah, and I think that was
so
more
the
humanity that's out there now trying to send that message through the conduit.
Yeah.
And not, like I said, the way that Game of Thrones were trying to, it feels like the way they're trying to portray it is it's the mask slipping.
Right.
And that the Emperor is all masks. He's always just visages. He's always just another visage for the Emperor of how he appears to everybody, and they're all finally slipping, and now he's just the core of him is just this guy who does the end justifies the means, don't care, got to get everything, plan has to go made to be deceived. And I prefer it the other way.
Wizard of Oz type.
Yeah, I feel it the other way. Prefer.
It doesn't make any sense though. If you look at the story of even the end of the Horus Heresy, on the battle on the Vengeful Spirit, where the Emperor, if that was him, there is literally just him and Horus. Nobody else is in that fight.
No.
Right? If that was truly him, he could have taken that mask off and gone, "You failed me. You're a waste of time. Goodbye."
Again, they tried to. Again, that's been kind of retcon now in the end of the death story. Is that? But then again, I suppose that also leaves open more of what I'm saying, because they have this whole thing with the Dark King, right? Is this whole thing of oh my god, the Dark King's coming. The Dark King's coming. He's going to destroy us all and everything in the galaxy, right?
Right.
And they think, obviously, that's Horus. But it turns out, no, it's the Emperor. The Emperor's basically gone, shit, in order to defeat Horus, I have to, let down this thing and take the power.
Okay.
Literally the godlike power needed to defeat Horus.
Okay.
Right? But once I've done that, I will transcend my humanity, and I will not be able to, like... Because this is the part of the story that Old Person performs, is he meets the Emperor, and he's like, you have to give up the power. You can't do this. Because if you do this, you will become the Dark King. You will be the final evil. Right. Because you will have taken this phenomenal cosmic power onto yourself to defeat Horus, but you won't be able to give it up, and then you won't understand humanity anymore.
Right, okay.
And he convinces the Emperor to give it up.
Right.
Like, and this is the power needs to beat Horus, just like that. Just go on the thing and just be like, get fucked. Bang. Be done. And he gives it up. He does some cool thing. The last vestige of him giving it up is him, like, he heals Loken, he heals Leetu on the various people, and Kaikalta's Dusk, the console that he's with. He heals them back up to full, and they go off to the Vengeful Spirit. And yeah, that reading almost says that, he did have to keep his humanity.
Yeah.
But then the final battle is kind of weird because it's all like the Emperor, like it's kind of cool because the Emperor comes up to him and he goes like, let him go, like this is a fight between you and us, you and me. And Horus is like, what the hell's he talking about? And he's like, no, he's not talking to you. Yeah. He's talking to the puppets behind. The master behind the puppet. Yeah. He's talking to the Chaos Guards. He's like, let him go. Let's fight. Let's solve this one-on-one. Yeah. And the fight itself isn't great because it kind of goes through like various different. They try to make it more epic by having it appear on different sort of planes and types. It's almost like the sort of that sort of like transformation battle where it's like he becomes a snake, so he becomes a mongoose, and it's a bit like that. And then they end up playing Magic at one point. They end up playing tarot. Like I played this card, and then you play this card, and it's all masks and visages, and he has
that sounds awful.
And then the final one is he ends up, there's like, he's Loken versus, the Loken comes and talks to Horus, and he's like, come on, what the fuck are you doing? And it's like, no, this isn't Loken, it's actually the Emperor using his visage to talk to me, kind of thing. And it's like, it is okay, but it feels, like I said, it feels a bit, it's so much multi-dimensional chess that it feels like it takes away from, like I said, sometimes a good battle is just two people going, like, it's Vader versus Luke. It's the emotions of those, like, it's the argument I have when I talk about Star Wars and about lightsaber fights, is the battle between Vader and Luke is so emotional. It doesn't have to be flippy.
The actual fight itself is awful.
It doesn't have to be flippy shit, but like, because the emotion behind, you can see the emotion behind it, and like Luke trying to not release that anger out to it. Whereas when you compare that to, say, the Obi-Wan Anakin fight, which is just boom boom bish bosh bish, spin flick kick flick, there's no emotion there until the final moment, and it feels like it cheapens it. And I feel like that's kind of what happens here.
Yeah, if you look at the actual fights, like Vader versus Luke is a really rubbish sword fight. Yeah. But it's carried by the weight of the emotion. Yeah. If you look at Anakin versus Obi-Wan, it's an epic sword fight. Yeah. With no emotion in it whatsoever.
And
you can't... The sweet spot, for me, is Phantom Menace. The Duel of the Fates is the sweet spot between flippy shit, as in this is the Jedi at the height of their powers, combined with the emotion. Yeah. Of like, and different fighting styles and how emotion drives your fight.
It's the same with Dumbledore versus Voldemort. Yes. Epic fight in the middle of the Ministry of Magic. Harry versus Voldemort.
Two spells.
They jump at each other and then they
Oh, you're talking about the movie version where they swirl around the castle in this blur of absolute garbage? Yeah, no, that was awful. But we're getting sidetracked.
We're getting sidetracked on our sidetrack, in fact.
The emotion is on the second one, whereas...
This is a new dimension for us. We've
gone so down 2 layers. Right, coming back to the Emperor. And then we'll rotate back out of there. But
So I do think that the Emperor is, like you said, better when he is human. Yeah. Because otherwise, some of the stuff he does doesn't make any sense. It's just no forethought or planning in what he's doing.
Some of the mistakes don't make any sense either.
You've got all this stuff, and what you decide to do is stick them into 20 bodies, the 2 of which are buggered from the get-go, because we never find out what's going on, and 9 of them are literally broken. Like Angron, Perteron.
Like, it also kind of explains why Angron doesn't get put down. Yeah. Because you've clearly put down 2 others before for reasons. Yeah.
So
you won't want to. I don't want to put down Angron, even though he's sliding slowly into.
He's dying.
Yeah, and it's like, but he can't. His own misery. Yeah, but like that's the thing. I feel like the Emperor can't because he's lost 2 for whatever reason. Yeah. Like I feel like almost like you could say that almost that scarred him too much. And he doesn't want to. Again.
Like, why
But again, that's another great moment for me. Another humanising moment of the Emperor is Conrad Kurtz's final fucking moments.
Yes.
Conrad Kurtz's final moments. He sees the Emperor comes to him, and he's like, "See, I fucking told you this would happen. I knew this would happen. I knew." Like, and the Emperor's like, "No, this happened because you made it happen. You didn't see that vision and think, I've got to do something about it. You went, fuck it. What's the point?"
Yeah.
That's the difference between his premonitions and Sanguinius's.
Yeah.
Sanguinius's was like, he did spend ages trying to fight it and then realised that actually he had to accept it in a way that wasn't necessarily the same way. And that Kurz could have done the same thing. He could have died at his father's hands, but for a different reason.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. Or could have changed fate.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I love, like, it's one of my favourite things about, another quick lady, just for a second, is one of my favourite sci-fi series of all time is Babylon 5.
Yes.
For the reason that, and I always say this to anybody who's never seen the show, but is going into it, I only ever give them one, it's not really a spoiler, but I give them one hint. Anything that is prophesied in that show will come true. Yes. But it might not come true in the way you think.
Yes.
And as a spoiler, the best one example of that is Lando and Jakar.
You were going with this.
Because it's literally at the first episode, Lando explains that the Centauri sometimes get a vision of their death. And when he saw Jakar for the first time, he saw his death with the two of them with their hands wrapped around each other's throat, strangling each other to death. That happened. That's exactly how both of them die.
Yep.
But it's not till much, much later on that you see that actually has a whole different context. And actually what Jakar is doing is saving both Londo and the galaxy.
Yes.
And that Londo isn't Londo at that point.
Yeah.
And it makes...
Yeah, all the prophecies come true, but they don't always come true in just how you think they're going to.
Yes. And
you and I will die choking each other to death, but then when you actually see
and you see, because at that point you're like, but these guys are going to become really good friends. How are they going to get to a point where they hate each other, to a point where they want to kill each other again? Because at the beginning of the series, it makes total sense. They're like, the two races fucking hate each other, and they're going to try and destroy each other. And you're like, fair enough. But as the story goes on, you're like, wait a minute, these guys have really forming a friendship here. Like, how is this going to go sour? And then you see it, and it's brilliant. But going back to that again, that's the whole point. Again, the Emperor makes that humanising moment. He comes to him. And I think this is what we're saying about, come back to our little thread theory, is this is where I think a lot of the acts of faith around the galaxy come, is the Emperor is literally he is literally looking down over humanity now and being like, this is a moment which needs to turn. This is where the wheel turns, and I need this to happen to affect something else. Yeah. So we're going to empower this being who really believes.
Yeah, because if the Emperor didn't care, if everything was just a tool, you wouldn't have all these miracles.
Yeah.
No.
Like, because he would just be another Chaos God.
Yeah.
Because
he'd be the Dark King.
He'd just be the Dark King. Yeah. Like, without that humanity, he would just be the Dark King.
Yeah, and that's what separates him from the Chaos Gods.
Yeah, exactly.
I think his flaw, like the Chaos Gods, their flaw is obviously their excess of whatever it is. So, like, Khorne's failing is ultimately his rage. He's like, you can provoke Khorne people into rage, and that's how they'll make mistakes. And it's how you can usually end up like toppling. That's how Khorne lost his power in the first place. He's blinded by rage and anger, and he's easily manipulatable by people like Zinch.
Yeah.
Whereas, I like to think that the Emperor is on that level, but his flaw is his humanity.
Yeah.
It's his belief in people.
Yeah.
And that sometimes that belief is obviously thrown back in his face, like we all have. And I think that's what makes him a more interesting character, is that, he was a lantern in the dark. And now that flame is really guttering.
Yeah.
But it is still there for anyone who wants to look at it.
Yeah. It's definitely a thing. Anyway,
I love how we just Khorne strikes the Emperor.
It all relevant and it all connects because it's super relevant because at the end of the day, the Chaos Gods of which the Emperor could technically now be one. Yeah. They're all linked in that intrinsic way that stops them from conquering achieving everything. Khorne is easily manipulatable by going, your mum's a whore. Yeah.
Because whilst they take these emotions and take them to 11 and sometimes a form of power. Yeah. As with all things, anything taken too far is. Yeah, it's the same with all the Chaos Gods. Like Zinch's things, like you can defeat Zinch by his inevitable quest to know or tying himself in knots.
You can defeat Zinch with a really hard Sudoku.
Yeah.
Like, work that out and be like, oh, shit.
Oh, no, I kind of really need to know where that goes.
What is this? What is it? Oh, it's one of these. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean there's a book full of them?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like, that's Zinj distracted for, like, fucking 5 minutes while you piss off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially if you tell him that the answer to that Sudoku puzzle will actually be the combination you need to open this safe over here.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to be like, what's in the safe?
What's in the safe?
I need to know.
Yeah. I could open it with them, but if I do that, then I haven't solved it.
Yeah.
Like,
Nurgle's thing, his defeat is like, no, everything has to stay the same. Everything has to stay the same. We can't let it go.
Yeah.
So, like, his need to keep everything, that's, like, in that permanent state. Or, again, obviously, so that's just easy, because it's just like, yes, but have you experienced this with tomato ketchup on it?
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah.
What would happen if...
That's anything. I'm going to leave that open to the reader. Anything related to Slanesh, you'd be like, but if you add tomato sauce, how does that make it different?
And that is Slanesh going, I've got to try that now.
Yeah.
So, like, Chaos is, like, the ultimate evil in the galaxy. Like, without question.
Yes.
Because the Necrons are not evil. The Tyranids are not evil.
No.
The Orcs are not evil.
No.
They aren't good.
No.
By any stretch, any of those.
No, none of the factions in 40k are good.
No.
They have their heroes.
Yes.
And they have their, like, because I would argue that even, like, Abaddon can be viewed... especially the way he's depicted by Aaron Dembski-Bowden in the novels. He's like, he's just searching for brotherhood and for... Like, he doesn't believe in the lies of the Imperium and things like that. It's like, fine. Yeah. From his point of view, that is a good... Like, no man's the villain of his own story, but Chaos as an entity itself is pure evil.
Yeah.
Like, it is... All these people that try to say, I can wield it in a way that makes it okay...
Nope. Never.
It's never worked. Even for the Emperor. Yeah. Like, let's be honest. Like, he tried to steal fire from the gods... That's his whole analogy.
He got fire from the gods.
He got fire from the gods, and then what happened is that fire burnt him, burnt his house down.
Real hard. Like, that's, he tried to do this sort of tricksy deal with the four major powers of chaos. And look at where he is now. Yeah. He is locked eternally into the Golden Throne. Yeah. Like, as a sort of a cadaver, basically, with no direct effect on his own empire. Yeah. And his empire has fallen into... So far from his vision. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Like, so you can't wield the power of chaos. Yeah. It is the evil of... But the problem is, it always has that temptation of being like, but I can. Yeah. Because that's why I have no time for Magnus. Yeah. Is that he's told repeatedly that there are things that one should not know. Because understanding it... And it's how... I understand everything. But this is how I view certain concepts, like, in a modern day. I'm glad, like... One of them is, I understand modern racism. Like, I can understand seeing people doing things that aren't the same as them. Yes. And being confused by it, and being like, you're the way you do this angers me. The way that you make women dress, or the way that make you dress is weird, and therefore I don't like it because it's weird. Yeah. Right? I don't agree with it, but I can understand where it comes from. One thing I'm glad I cannot understand is the level of racism you saw in places like America in the 50s and 60s. Yes. Where you're like, this person is in the same restaurant as me asking to order food. Yeah. Like, that, I'm so glad that I cannot physically comprehend how you can look at a human being like that. Yes. And I don't want to understand. No. And I think that's where chaos comes in. Is like, the people that go, well, if we understand that, then maybe we can do it. It's like, no, because I think if you once you've understood why people think like that, you are open to somebody pointing out that maybe you should think like that. And that's the limits of knowledge, I think, is that sometimes there are things I don't want to know because I don't want to know, because it opens that door to falling. Yeah, what if once you understand it, it makes sense to you? Exactly. And once it makes sense to you, wait a minute. Yeah. I'm now that. Yeah. Like, if you I don't want to think that way. Obviously, anybody that knows me knows that I have two mixed race children. Yeah. I have and yet there are some things about some differences between things that still annoy me. Not to the level where I'm going to be and the postage wife. Overtly racist. Yeah. For me, I like to call it cultural racism. It's something where two cultures butt up against each other, and because they're different, and it's the differences that make people go, you do things differently to me, that makes no sense. Yeah. You put mayonnaise on your chips, what the hell are you, you French weirdo? Yeah. Like, that's a comic example, but I can see where that can anger people. Yes.
Because it clashes with the rules of society you've been told. And that's how I get angry. But I don't resent the person behind it.
No. You just need a small amount of education.
And that's, you can get with it, but like you said, it's that deep...
But then when you go back...
Dehumanising level.
The dehumanising level of the Ku Klux Klan, for example.
Or the Nazi Party.
Nazi
that
Party,
kind of thing where you're literally... You're not even treating them like... Because the thing is that people aren't even treated like animals. Because people love their cats and their dogs and all that sort of thing.
I wouldn't treat an animal that way, but that fella over there...
Yeah, again. And it's like, I'm glad that I cannot understand that.
I
like you say, I feel like if somebody could explain to me that way, why they couldn't think like that, it is a slippery slope that when I get angry or upset or frustrated... that I could go that way, and chaos is that same way. That is chaos in a nutshell.
I think it's important to know that these things happen.
Yes.
But we don't have to understand them.
Yeah, I don't want to know how that person thinks, because once I understand how that person thinks, there's a small, ever so slight, because I like to think of myself as a very liberal person.
Yeah, same.
Whereas there's a very small chance that something in that I now understand makes the sliver of sense to me, and once it does, then I then fall down that hole.
It's the banality, as they called it at Nuremberg, it's the banality of evil.
Yes.
Is that no one comes in the door looking like Joseph Stalin or Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler didn't come in the door looking like Adolf Hitler. And whenever anyone says, like in modern politics, like they go, oh, this person, they're not talking about, there's 1,000 steps that go between somebody being like Adolf Hitler, deciding he wants to go into politics, and something like the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the problem is those steps are never huge.
No,
they're always very small. And it's the key to history is looking at those steps and going, hang on, we're on step. We appear to be on step 6, and we're heading towards step 7. So maybe we should do something about this now before we are doing this.
There's a really interesting theory within counterterrorism called Mogadam's staircase. So Mogadam being the theorist that came up with the theory, but no one is more than 5 steps on this staircase away from being a suicide bomber, essentially.
Yeah, right. It takes certain things to happen.
As long as if you achieve, like, if you take a step and then another and then another, and that is like indicative, like actually bringing it back to the topic. That is how chaos works,
and it's how most of the chaos, especially in fantasy, you look at a lot of the chaos. Well, Archaon. Yeah, Archaon in Warhammer Fantasy, he is the grand ever chosen of chaos. He's like the most powerful ever chosen there's been since Be'lakor. Like, he's managed to survive the destruction of an entire world, and is still in charge now. But he was a Sigmarite priest, I think.
Yeah, something.
Or
like
a Sigmarite warrior. Yeah. Like, he was a Knight of Sigmar. Yeah. Before what happened to him. And again, it's Ingrim van Horseman. Yeah. Ingrim van Horseman was just...
Sigvald was the same, right?
Sigvald I don't know what Sigvald. I think
Sigvald the Magnificent was he was raised in a very Sigmarite, a very religious family, and ended up falling. Yeah,
but like a lot of the major Chaos champions are all these people that were like, they delved too far, or they asked they wanted to ask questions, or they were betrayed in some way, and then that again, they all took that first step, and once you've taken that first step, it's easy to take this. You can convince yourself to take the second one. Yeah. Because it's okay, because it's the same with, like I said, this is why chaos is so insidious. Yes. It's that thing in the moment, isn't it? Like, there's this horrible warp dagger that's gonna like infect my mind and murder me and everything like that. But my best friend, my wife's over there and is about to be killed by this chaos champion.
And if I pick up this dagger,
I have the power that I need to save them.
Yeah.
And you pick up that dagger and you save them. But now I've got this dagger that's really powerful. Well, I can kill the rest of the people that are attacking this village. Okay, well, now I've done that. I mean, maybe I should be the protector of this village. And
that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, all I want to do is keep my people safe. There's lots of the village next door. They're looking like they're going to take our fishing. Like, they've been fishing really aggressively in our lake. So maybe we need to convince them not to do that. And the way we can do that, I've got the power. Yeah. I can force them to do that. And you see how insidious it is. Yeah. You, with the best will in the world, you just do something, and that's chaos in a nutshell. And that's why it's truly evil.
Especially in like both fantasy and 40k, where the general population does not have the best of life.
No.
And they can be worshippers of the, in quotation marks, good gods.
Yeah.
Sigmar, the Emperor, all the rest of it. And they go to they say their prayers. They light their candles and their incenses. But their lives are miserable.
But again, I think you can see it from the Imperial's point of view. It's almost why they keep the population that downtrodden.
Yeah.
There's so many quotations. Blessed is the mind too small for doubt.
Yes.
Like, it's almost part of the way they keep them safe is to keep them... It's horrible. And they keep them all downtrodden because their minds are so small that they don't start asking these questions.
You don't ask the question.
Yeah, it's like if you can't even... Yeah, you don't even read the book, you don't lick the science or whatever. Yeah, this is the point. If you keep somebody just in a cubicle, 24 hours a day, they sleep in that cubicle, they wake up, they do their job, they go back to sleep, they have kids who then learn how to work that cubicle, etc., etc. Like, I said, the blessed is the mind too small for doubt. They can't then start thinking, hang on, maybe there's something better, and then maybe I can do something about it.
They don't know about life outside the hive, right?
Yeah, well, even outside the cubicles.
Even outside the cubicles, like they've probably not been off their floor. Admittedly, the floor of the hive might be 20 miles.
The greatest story that Games Workshop ever told about the fall, somebody's fall towards the chaos gods, is the Eisenhorn trilogy.
Yes,
which is that is the one book and storyline and series that I hope Games Workshop adapts. They were looking like they were going to adapt it into a TV series.
That's what we're hoping.
That's the one we want. Yeah,
Henry Cavill starts with,
because it is the best depiction of 40k.
Yeah,
I think, because it's set at the human level. And it starts with somebody, and the thing is, you always agree with Eisenhorn throughout the trilogy. Like, he literally starts off, in the first book, his whole thing is he's fighting an Inquisitor who's fallen to chaos.
Yeah.
But who thinks they're doing the right thing. Yeah. And by the end of the trilogy, he's that guy. Yeah. And every step he takes makes sense. And he's pushed into a lot of them, but he still makes the choice. Yeah. At first he's persecuted for what it appears to be no reason, and he ends up having to do things, but it forces him to do things he shouldn't do. And he always keeps taking those little steps, and the people around him end up being like, going, dude, you're going down this path. And sometimes he listens and sometimes he doesn't. And it's why... But also, it's another one of those... It's also the series where when you see a Space Marine, it's an oh shit moment.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is much better than having a Space Marine-centric series for those people who want to see it. But Eisenhorn is just... It could be the next... If it's done well, it could be the next big... prestige TV series.
Yeah, I think so.
Because the storyline, because of that whole slow fall, the road to hell is paved. It is very similar to Breaking Bad, all those sort of things.
Yeah.
Of like,
definitely.
We could take the easy way out. We could take the hard way and just be like, no, maybe I should be killed here. Maybe I shouldn't be doing these things. No, it makes total sense, and it makes perfect sense the way you read the whole trilogy. You're like, I totally agree with Eisenhorn every step he takes. Yeah. But when you look back compared to the first page to the last page, you're like,
dude, what did you do that
what are
for?
you doing? Yeah.
So, with all the segues and everything else, we hope that is enjoyable podcast for you. We did cover quite a lot of Khorne and a lot of other stuff as well. Which one are we doing next? Which of the Chaos Gods?
Well, I suppose we should do his antithesis, right? We should do Slaanesh.
Slaanesh next.
Yeah.
So, a bit of a warning for next week's podcast. We are covering the Chaos God Slaanesh, who is the Chaos God of excess.
Which is usually depicted as sort of sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah, in most things. So just a bit of a warning for that one.
Yeah.
We will be discussing things of probably a slightly sexual nature, but not. We're going to try and keep it
PG.
We're going to try to keep it PG and comedic.
And PG, but it will come up, so just in case, we will give that warning out.
Addiction as well.
There will be addiction references. But if you're cool with that, please tune in. We like Evie said, we're going to keep it light-hearted and as best we can, but we will cover the topics with as much reverence when they come up as possible. Yeah. Both me and Pete have been through some of that, so we understand how that works.
We've had our brushes with
Slaanesh, so we do understand how that works.
So have I.
Yeah. So with that in mind, please enjoy the rest of your week. We will be hopefully moving to 2 times a week shortly by the time this comes out.
Excitement.
Yes, hopefully if I can get my editing up to a point where I'm editing every single day.
We will hopefully get up to 2 times a week to bring more love out into the universes. But yes, Slaanesh next time. So take care, have fun. So it's good night from me.
It's good night from him.
And it's good night from her.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.